About the Symbols of the Creation Energy Theory by Bernadette Brand, Switzerland.
Basically, every single symbol of the creation energy theory is absolutely and completely neutral, which also applies to the symbol of peace. However, it is equally important to note that each individual symbol has its own distinctive and typical design language that makes it unique. This design language includes not only the effective linear forms, but also the position of the symbol within the broad black frame, which is indispensable for every symbol, as well as the proportions of the line thicknesses and, if present, also for the colors, and therefore overall for the individual overall appearance of each symbol, which is not only significant but very important. The language of form is a type of archetypal visual communication through which addresses the unconscious and conscious perception of the viewer. Due to the archetypal centuries-old knowledge that is available to every person due to the information stored in their creation energy line, their unconscious takes up the language of forms and begins to process them due to the information stored in the creation energy form. To interpret knowledge impulsively and to understand it correctly, which then triggers corresponding impulses and passes them on to the all-overlaying consciousness complex and releases them, which then begins to react according to the symbol and creates associations, ideas, and reactions that conscious awareness and processed according to the formal language and implemented externally as an action. Every symbol is complex and absolute in itself and in every way strictly neutral and passive. So there is absolutely nothing negative or positive in the human consciousness, but it is explicitly only expression or carrier of certain negative, balanced, or positive information, the interpretation of which is made and formed by the person himself. This results from his thinking, through the influences of the environment, such as education and even indoctrination, which then through the entire consciousness complex is implemented and controlled precisely and according to the information values of the respective symbol. The existing and worldwide circulating false peace symbol with the death rune, which truly corresponds to a symbol of death and symbol of hate, was created in 1958 by British graphic artist Gerald Holtham on behalf of the British campaign for nuclear disarmament, without foreknowledge that his work would cause evil, war, crime, suffering, misery, death, and destruction. So it became absolutely inevitable that the false symbol of peace, the Celtic death rune symbol, still causes division, discord, and destruction today, as can be seen every day since this symbol was falsely and irresponsibly used as a symbol of peace, interpreted and thus used falsely worldwide, thereby causing unrest, conflict, war, terror, and death. Even a superficial look at the symbol makes it clear that it has nothing to do with peace, but rather with violence, aggression, destruction, and annihilation. The symbol death existence, on which the death rune is based, associates division, discord, hatred, war, terror, murder, and destruction, as can be seen daily in ever more blatant forms since this symbol is wrongly and irresponsibly interpreted as the symbol of peace and has spread worldwide. The number of armed conflicts that have occurred on Earth since the creation of this death symbol with the death rune, invented in 1958, is so serious that it has never been seen before on this planet. Was the case. By May 2024, there had been 91 uprisings, wars of liberation, wars of occupation, civil wars, border wars, invasion wars, religious conflicts, wars between states, secession wars, acts of terrorism, and other armed conflicts, which had claimed many millions of lives. Even a superficial look at the symbol makes it clear that it cannot have anything to do with growth, progress, and peacefulness, because a fallen tree with its crown pointing to the ground is the epitome of violence, end, decay, and death. Since most people think uncontrollably, they process the archetypal information of the symbol in exactly the way of the content that this symbol extensively, which is why they then unconsciously or uncontrollably and thoughtlessly contribute everything to implement the meaning of the symbol and become fact without opposing the destruction and the end that the symbol speaks of in the slightest. By doing so, those believers who see the symbol of death as a symbol of peace misinterpret, do not become aware of their own thoughts and emotions, and do not control them. They make themselves slaves to the content of the symbol, which is basically completely neutral and simply a certain state or circumstance, which they unintentionally and faithfully implement and make reality and make it a fact. In contrast to the symbol death existence, the symbol contains a rich and growth-indicating language of forms, which, like all other symbols, contains completely neutral archetypal information, but which points to a peaceful and rich growth, as well as peace and progress or evolution, and this statement is conclusive. The tree full of life, whose crown is in the heaven and perched on a bubbling spring, promises flourishing growth and prosperity, which is symbolized by the stylized lotus flower that the crown of the tree, which makes it the actual tree of life. The contemplation of the symbol awakens peaceful and progressive associations in people and allows these come up, indicating prosperity, growth, and a rich harvest, whereby the human beings have valuable impulses, intuitions, and ideas, as well as thoughts and a striving for peacefulness. Growth, blossoming, and progress are triggered and built up within themselves because they tap into their own subterranean knowledge of their creative life energy and strive to continually build and expand it and to expand it evolutionarily, simply because man, by perceiving the symbol, consciously becomes master of his clear mind and reason, as a result of which he absorbs the archetypal information of the symbol's formal language and uses it evolutionarily to transform everything into the value of the correct actions, activities, and behavior in this regard.